Okay, here we are starting out with PhotoPea. I have to apologize for all the noise. It's the weekend, it's the middle of the day, and it's hot, so I have an air conditioner and I have some kids in the background playing video games. Let us begin. I heard there was a problem with the resolution, so I'm going to try and attempt to deal with that at some point. I will provide this file here, which is a half res version, so I've decreased the resolution of this file by half. Although, when I tested it with the full res version, it didn't give me the problem. I hear everything. Whoa, what's that noise? Oh, that's you. That's Animal Crossing. Okay, Animal Crossing. So we hear Animal Crossing in the background. That's okay. So I have also, I'm going to point out, I'm using Chrome. I'm on a Mac, so your mileage may vary. To begin, I'm going to click and drag this JPEG file of the rose, and this is the original one that I was sent from a student. I'm going to click and drag, and we'll see how awesome it is. Nice low-key photography here. Love it, love it, love it. The dark background. And we're going to try and make it non-saturated here while keeping the color here. Or vice versa. Who knows? We don't know. Okay. Let us begin. The first thing I want to show off is this tool. It's under this selection tool. Now we have object selection, and I tried to use this. It was very difficult to use. I'm going to use the magic wand tool. And the way the magic wand tool works, bless you, is that when you click in an area, so I'll click like on this red, it will try and select every similar part to that red. Okay, this will take a long time though. I don't want to do it like this. That would take a long time. I could hold shift. Oh, and that one did a big selection. And when you hold shift, you can click and add to it. Okay, still going to take way too long. That is what this tolerance number is for. I have tested this already. I'm going to put this up to 30. And I clicked away from it. Bless you. Oh my gosh. Everybody's sneezing today. Now I have the magic wand tool selected. And notice when I click now in an area, it will choose a much larger area. So the tolerance is up. I don't know the logic of the way they're using the term tolerance here, but you know, when it goes up, it's going to select more stuff, no matter how different it is. I still need to add to this selection, but look at like how easy this is to start. And if we were to zoom in, you know, we could test this too. I'm going to zoom in, Control plus, Control plus. It looks great still. So I'm not having any resolution problems yet. I have yet to run into one. Zoom out. I'm going to hold shift, and I have magic wand. I'm going to add to these selections. So look, just clicking on that one part did all that. And yeah. I'm actually really impressed with this app. It is an amazing clone of Photoshop, and it's actually kind of makes you go, "Hey, Photoshop, what are you doing?" Other ways to add to this selection, and probably an easier way right now, is to use just the selection tool or the lasso tool. So I can switch to this, hold down shift, click and drag, and it'll just add all those little chunks to that selection. Okay, I'm going to zoom in again. Control plus, Control plus. I don't know, maybe go back to magic wand, hold shift. I was a little worried right there if it was going to select parts of the rose. If it did select parts of the rose, let's say, for example, I'm going to turn the tolerance down so I can give you a better example. Let's say I went too far. Oh, whoops, that was funny. Undo. No, undo. Okay. Tolerance is 5, and I want to add. Let's try that. Okay, so I went too far. I could always hold the Alt key, and that will take away from the selection. So not a great example, but if you do mess up, use the Alt key to remove from the selection. I think we were right about here. I'm using the history window, which works great, and trying to get to where it was. Awesome. We are now at the point where we can start playing with the saturation. I'm going to zoom out now. Control minus. No. Control minus. Okay, so if the goal is to desaturate the green parts, we're there already. We have selected the green parts. If the goal is to do something with the rose, which we'll do later, we would have to do a inverse of the selection. So remember, there's a select menu. You got to kind of pay attention to what you selected. Come down here to the adjustment layers, and we'll select hue saturation. And at this part, I'm just going to kind of go nuts. I'm going to make a bunch of adjustment layers with different kinds of selections just to see what you can kind of do. Who knows? So for this, just the first one is to turn down saturation. Boom, done. Now, while we have this selection, I could also change lightness. So what if you wanted to make this kind of like washed out? I personally don't like how that looks, so I'm going to maybe go in the negative. So maybe the negatives would be kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Kind of like maybe just 10, negative 10. Okay, now what I'm going to do is we are going to select the inverse. So I'll go into the select menu, choose inverse. So now just the rose petals are selected. From here, I'll do another adjustment layer, but this time we'll do, I don't know. I like to use selective color sometimes. Selective color is cool because I'm going to choose all the whites here. So I'm going to choose white. And then we'll make it more magenta. So maybe they ran out of red. Maybe your mother wanted red roses and all they had were yellow ones. Although this isn't, oh, maybe we need to do absolute. Let me try this. Absolute. Yeah, there we go. Magenta. Let's take away cyan. So I'm not a big fan of how this looks, but this is, just another idea of what you could do. I'll turn the blacks up. That's kind of cool. It's something, Mr. Z. It's something. There's sometimes if you want to get really crazy, I'm going to delete both of these, but I will try and keep this. We'll unlock. No. I think if you hold, watch this. If you have a mask and you hold Control and click on the mask, it will give you your selection back. Awesome. So I'm going to delete these masks, kind of start over. Okay, let's zoom in because we have this beautiful high-res photo here. And another thing that we don't have is a really nice selection. We have like this automated selection, and it's a very rough selection. So another thing that you can do, if you're really going to start getting into this more later, you want to keep going and thrive in these kinds of selections, go to the select menu and choose modify and then feather. And you feather it like 1 or 2 pixels. What I don't want to do is apply it to canvas bounds because what this means is it's going to feather the edges around the canvas. We just want to feather the edges around the rose. So this is actually a really awesome feature here. So now it's going to be harder to see now, but now I'll make an adjustment layer. Let's see, hue saturation. So I'm officially rambling now. Let's turn the saturation down. And then if we click away with this, like if I go to deselect it, it's a much more kind of refined edge. If I did not do that, I'm going to go back to this delete layer thing. So I won't feather it this time. Let's see how it looks. And I could be totally wrong. Maybe I didn't even bother to do that. Sometimes I'm like that. Saturation down, and I'll click away. So you can see it's a harder edge. Experiment. The only reason I know how to do any of this stuff is because I was paid to do it over and over again. So if you're not paid to do this, you got to practice. The site works, I think. I'm going to zoom out. Minus. I'm now ready to download it to my computer to turn in. So in this case, we're going to export it. File, export as. Then we will export it as a JPEG. I always like quality to be 90%. There's no reason for 100%. It might be quicker to type it. If your internet is slowing down, there we go. Oh, 90. Awesome. And then when you click save, it goes and it drops it into your downloads folder. And watch, when I click on it, it'll launch it. And, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So it did kind of glitch a little bit. But when you really do zoom in and you give this app a minute, it's looking pretty good. If you look at those edges, those look pretty good. So if I was like being super picky, I'd really go in here and feather some selection to get rid of this yellowy. That's if you are feeling like you want to go above and beyond any sort of semblance of normality here, which is a perfect time for this because we're in a pandemic. So I hope this video helped, and please write me if you have any questions. I'm going to stop this video now. And now you know what Animal Crossing sounds like, too, when they talk. So let me speak. Bless you. Oh, Gesundheit. Oh, my gosh. Send Kleenex.